Hey everybody, it's Donna in Grand Rapids, and I am going to do a quick video on how I go about varnishing my eggs. There's a lot of different ways to do this, lots of different products. Just keep in mind that no matter what you use, it needs to be an oil-based varnish or polyurethane or product of some kind. If you use a water base, it's going to take the dye off of your eggs. And there's lots of different methods. I use the method where I'm going to put on these gloves and actually roll it in my hand. And I use One Shot. This is a expensive but really good varnish, or it's actually not a varnish. It's a coating. I don't know what you call it, but varnish is actually a specific thing. And what we use is not varnish. We just kind of use that term generically. But this is a coating that is used by sign painters outdoors, and it doesn't yellow, which is the main thing. It's really hard to find something that doesn't yellow over time. And this is really strong. So there have been times when I've noticed a crack in an egg when I'm finished or almost finished doing it. And I go ahead and finish the egg and I give it a couple of coats of this. I usually only just do one coat, but in the case if I know I have a crack, I'll do 2 coats to make it extra strong. And I've been able to empty that egg and not have it break. I work on full eggs mostly, but varnish before I empty them to protect the dye, and that's how I do it. So I'm going to show you this product. I work on trays no matter what I do. These are these trays from IKEA. They're awesome. It's just a plain tray, but I have a dozen of them. Some of them I use in my kitchen. Others I use for crafts. I use them when making puzzles, whatever. So when I first got this can, I opened it up and I poured the contents into a canning jar. It's just easier to work with and to keep closed and so forth. And then I even cover that with a piece of saran wrap, which obviously needs to be replaced here. So then you don't have to mess with opening and shutting this can all the time. So I'm gonna put these gloves on, and I've got a few eggs here. Now this varnish, or this coating, I'm just gonna go ahead and call it varnish because that's what rolls off my tongue, is very thick. And in fact, it will get thicker over time. It doesn't dry out like other varnishes do in the can, but it may get thick. And so they sell a product that is a thickener, or excuse me, a thinner that you can buy from the same company. So there's different methods. If you work with empty eggs, you can put them on a skewer and let them dry that way. I actually use this thing, which is a craft drying rack that I bought on Amazon. I'm gonna point my camera down so that you guys can see what I'm doing more so than me. So now I just put my fingers, just these 2 fingers here, and then I just roll the egg. Now you notice I even have the varnish on the tray. That way if I get any drips, I'm not going to have drips on my countertop. They're going to be on the tray. And then I just give it a good roll. I try to put not enough that it's going to pool up on the bottom, but I usually do end up with a little bit of a dimple on the bottom. It's not a big deal. It actually makes it stronger for the place that I'm going to put the hole later. And then I set it on top of the drying rack and move on to the next egg. I usually can do 3 eggs. Each time I dip my fingers in there, then I feel like I need to get a little bit more. Just roll it all around, set it on the rack. Then what I usually do is I come back maybe in a half hour, just when these are just dry enough to the touch that I won't leave fingerprints on them, and spin them a quarter turn so that if there are dimples, that they won't stick to the rack. Sometimes I spray these racks with something like Pam before I start, but I just forgot to do it this time. So I don't know if you noticed, but the first time I went into this, I dipped pretty deep and I got quite a bit on my glove. Subsequent dips, I'm just moistening my fingers because I still have varnish in my glove, but it just needs a little bit more to be able to distribute smoothly. That one needs a little more. There. Also, when you do this, be mindful of, if you have something that's a one-way design, like for instance, this egg right here is a one-way design. I made sure to varnish the egg so that I can, the bottom of the egg is pointing down, so that if there are any dimples, that they're going to be on the bottom of the egg. Most of these are all over designs, really doesn't matter, but that one is a one-way design. Then here's my technique for the gloves. Hold on, I gotta grab a paper towel. Would have been better if I'd had that ready ahead of time, but I didn't. Okay, so here's what I do to take my gloves off. I get a paper towel to sort of get a hold of the glove here, pull it off this way, then the other one, so that my fingers actually never have to get in the varnish. And then I toss them away in the garbage. And like I said, I'm going to put a new piece of plastic wrap on top of this jar. Now, like I said, I usually don't give these 2 coats unless I've got a crack in my egg that I know of. And then I'll give it 2 coats because this stuff is really strong. And as you saw, it's quite thick. So I hope that's helpful. That's how I varnish my eggs. There's a million different ways to do it, but that's the way I do it. Have a great day. Happy egging.